Ladies and gentlemen, proud to present to you another Strength Matters Wednesday webinar with the wonderful Georgie Fear from AskGeorgie.com. I did mention that she has done a couple of other webinars with us, which you can find on the members area of the realstrengthmatters.com. And as well, I highly recommend her book, Lean Habits for lifelong weight loss.
Wow, you pulled it out. Nice.
Gosh, mega. So let me just get the slides on the screen where I can control them. And again, Georgie, do let me know when you want the slides changed. But other than that, please, Georgie, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you for the lovely intro and the energy you always infuse into these. It's priceless. So today we're talking about how do you turn a short-term challenge into something that's worthwhile, like something that's lasting. Because I think everybody in here that's been, that's worked with clients that have done a short term, like, oh, I'm doing a 21-day fix or a 30-day challenge or this cleanse that's nothing but lemon cayenne. We've all kind of rolled our eyes and been like, okay, and then what, like a year from now, is this going to be anything meaningful? And clients are usually aware that this is not sustainable. Nobody expects that they're going to do something permanently that they've adopted during this 5-day stint, but they usually think that it'll be worth something. So I've actually found that it can be kind of useful in terms of teaching clients a number of things, such as what is sustainable versus not sustainable. And nobody really gets hurt, even if they sprint and do something crazy for a limited period of time. And we all probably did similar antics outside of the nutrition realm during our teenage and college years. And assuming we survived, they could be actually good learning tools. So anybody that did the 21-day ramp up through Strength Matters, partnered with the Complete Coaching Mentors, which is myself, Roland Fisher, and Josh Hillis. We're all nutrition coaches. So we did that 21-day ramp up in January. And this is exactly what I did with my clients after they completed the 21 days, so we could kind of, drag some productive stuff out of it. So let's check out that first slide, Seb.
Okay, there we go. Guys, do let me know as well if you can see the slides clearly, if you need me to maybe increase or decrease the picture so you can focus on your screens as well.
Cool, thanks. So far I can see them. So what usually happens when somebody decides, oh, I'm going to do this 21-day fix? We have our grumpy cat up at the top. I'm doing Whole30 again. And then what usually happens is we go through, 1 to 30 days of super, super clean eating where we're thinking, I'm just going to eat organic broccoli and wild salmon, and I'm not going to have a single M&M, and I'm not going to have any alcohol. And we eat like we assume angels eat. And that usually doesn't last for very long. Few people actually make it to the 30 days for the 30-day challenge. And then what happens, we tend to go face first into the fries and pizza, beer and ice cream. So this can vary person to person. Some people will make it 3 days. Some people will make it the whole 30. Some people will actually make it for like 35 days before they backswing. But far and away, usually when people do a short-term challenge, they tend to go back to exactly what they were doing before, if not a brief period of worse eating. Does that fit your experience, Seb? Have you ever done one of these things or worked with someone who has?
I have not personally. No, I tell you what, I have. I've done it for fighting, though, when I used to fight. So, of course, for weight drop. And although I know personally of other individuals who have done it, you always see it, I'm not going to mention names because this could be watched later, but those companies that sell you products, or you join a certain club and then you see they've reached their goals and suddenly they've gained a hell of a lot of weight back because they've just gone straight into it. And I remember one of my last fights, I dieted so hard for it. I lost a lot of weight for it. The next day, I made a friend take a day off work to stay with me so we could just eat ridiculous amounts of food. And I'm talking for breakfast. For breakfast, I had some of you guys may not know, but what we call the full English breakfast, which is like sausage, beans, bacon, eggs, hash brown, potatoes, black pudding, mushrooms, had that, and then cake, and then cornflake chocolate cake. It's literally all day, just because
Oh
I
man.
now could. And I can assume the same thing happens with many people who restrict themselves on these 21 stroke 30 stroke 6 weeks or whatever restrictions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've heard a lot of stories like that. In particular, after people that weight cut for sports or people that do a figure or bodybuilding competition. There's
Yes.
some epic binge eating afterward often, which is partly physiologically driven and partly mentally driven. So I think we talked plenty about that in the binge eating webinar.
Yes, defo.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I see John over in the chat said lost you. Does that mean that
Ye-
he can't
Yeah,
hear
let me
us?
just let me just check, guys. Once again, because you know I do get issues with this program webinar. Do let me know if you can see us. Do let me know that you can hear us. Yeah, and I do always apologize for this.
It's all
But
good. It's all good. Oh, we're
technology.
back.
Oh, we're
Rock
back. We're back.
on.
We're back. Great. So let me put the
Awesome.
slides back.
I want to make sure everyone stays with the group. We don't want to leave anyone
There you
behind.
go. There we go.
So, all right. So we talked about what usually happens. It can be really, really bad, or at the most benign. People do a whole whatever challenge, and then they just go back to how they were eating before, and there's no real progress. So if we check out the next slide, it really doesn't have to end that way. When somebody tells me that they're going to do one of these challenges, I really don't try to dissuade them unless they're going to do something that is, medically unsafe. I do have training as a medical professional, and I don't want to see people doing stuff that could be hazardous to their health. So I will express my concern over that. I'll also express concern that somebody who has a history of disordered eating or binge eating is likely to be pulling back the pendulum to return to it by going on a strict diet. However, once I've kind of expressed my concern, I always leave it to the client to decide what to do as, a free-willed adult. It's one of the wonderful things. We all can decide autonomously what we want to eat and do in life. So I express my piece. I never push them or say don't do it because I don't give orders. Once you've kind of expressed any concern that you have, you can really support the person by asking, how's that 30-day thing going? Or you can completely ignore it. It's totally fine. If somebody is doing a fat-free vegan month, I'm probably not going to ask about it because I don't want to encourage it because I feel like it's nutritionally incomplete and somewhat dangerous. So if I were a fitness professional, I would just keep talking about workouts. The end of the challenge is really where you have the most important opportunity, because in reflecting on what has happened so far, looking for cause and effect and looking for the outcomes that kind of resulted from the dietary changes that they tried on, that's where you can really mine for the gold and get some good stuff. People don't usually realize all their options. They tend to think, well, how does this go? It's like a one-way street. I start the challenge, I finish the challenge, and then I just go on. They don't realize that there's doors all along the sides. Like you can opt at any point to continue the changes that you made, to do that short-term stint. If it feels good, if it feels sustainable, you can keep that. Or you can keep the whole thing or just keep a little part of it, or you can decide that you want nothing to do with it anymore and leave it all behind. I have plenty of people that they do meatless Mondays to kind of try out vegetarianism. Some of them decide, I really kind of liked including more beans in my diet, and some people decide, I hated it and I don't want to do it ever again. And both of those are absolutely excellent lessons to learn. The questions that I'm going to go through here are worded in a particular way, and at the end I'll share with you, I have a document that you can actually print out and give it to your clients. You can print it on a card or a half sheet of paper and kind of review, okay, what happened in that thing you just did? And you can do it on yourself too. Lots of people like to experiment on themselves and say, hey, I want to try a ketogenic month, or I want to try a really high carb month. And yeah, hey, go to town, just review what happened at the end so your effort is not wasted. Cathal, how you doing with the slides over there? Did they clear up for you?
Yeah, I've just made them smaller. Hopefully that has maybe cleared it up a little bit.
Right. Keep our fingers crossed. All right, so let's take a peek at the next slide. All right, so this is the top question on my card. You finished a challenge. What's next? This is what we're going to talk about today. You know, you and me, client. Let's figure out what happened. The average person will go on a diet 15.2 times in their lifetime. So if this was one of them, let's not have to, you know, make it 16. Let's look at what happened. So what exactly did you eat more of, drink more of, or other behaviors that you did more of during the challenge? Many times that will be, okay, I ate more protein, or I ate more fish, or I ate more vegetables, or I tried plant proteins. This was really helpful to look at because oftentimes people are more focused on what they cut out, because usually that's the way that the challenge is framed. I cut out white flour, I cut out alcohol, I cut out coffee or sugar or animal products. So it's important to look at both sides of that coin, because often there's a displacement factor, and people won't realize that it wasn't because they were avoiding non-organic produce that it actually had an effect. It was because they were eating more, I don't know, of something that was really working out for them. What do you think about that, Seb? Do you think people kind of have a tendency to note what they did more of or what they did less of when they look back?
Kind of a bit bizarre. I think people try to, well, when they look over, well, before they look over a food diary, without the education, they tend to think, well, I have eaten really good because look, let's say there's a salad here or a salad there, but then it's like with the individual I spoke to you about when we had our little chat, and I mentioned to him afterwards, and I said, yeah, I was looking over your diary, and I was talking to my friend Georgie about it, and there's a hell of a lot of M&S. Now, M&S, I don't know if you guys know it over in the States and in Canada and around the world, Marks and Spencer, a massive brand that sells a lot of different things, and they do food, very quick takeaway, not takeaway food, but very quick accessible food.
Okay.
And I said to him, a lot of the stuff you eat is Marks and Spencer. He's like, oh, I never thought so, until he had a look, and everything had M&S, M&S, M&S salmon, M&S chicken. Now, it may be salmon and chicken, great, but I don't believe that the quality of it is as good. So he thought he was doing well before checking over.
Right, so that's super interesting. So just kind of looking back over what somebody eats, their impression can be super different than what you actually see when you look at it.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. If anybody did the 21-day challenge with us, we kind of took it from a different standpoint, and we framed it as adding more. We didn't tell anyone to do less of anything. We just added. We spent a week adding, what was the first? The first week was awareness. So we talked about increasing awareness by doing more of things like logging your food, taking photos of your food, sharing your meals and such with the Facebook group. And so it's interesting that even when we tell people to do more of something like that, they do less of certain things like speed eating or eating in their car, because we're trying to have them bring more awareness. Similarly, if you challenge somebody to eat an increased amount of fruits and vegetables, they tend to, without even thinking about it, eat less of some other things just by virtue of displacement. So flesh out both sides of what this client has done. What did you do more of? What did you do less of? And then if we go to the next slide, we can kind of see what's the logical next question to chat about.
Cool, and that is a cue. There we go.
All right, let's evaluate your outcomes. What happened? Did it impact your weight? Sometimes people will be like, oh, I didn't lose any weight. And then when we get to talking, they're like, oh, but I slept a lot better. Oh, I was in a better mood. Or I was in a really pissy mood for the last 30 days. I have a lot of friendships I need to repair after the last 30 days. A lot of times people will notice that their energy level either improves or decreases. And lastly, sometimes, weight and fitness will actually go in the wrong direction. Many people find that when they, drop too much carbohydrate from their diet, that their fitness level comes down. We had some interesting discussions about the ketogenic diet in the hub last week. And I find it so fascinating because some people will say how much better they feel. Like, yeah, I cut out the bread and the sugar and all that from my diet, and I feel so much mental clarity. And then I will have the same number of people with the same emphasis telling me how they felt like utter shit when they cut that out of their diet. So it's important to look at, it doesn't matter what happened to everybody else. It matters what happened to you. Evaluate your outcomes. Some people's cholesterol levels will go up on a high saturated fat diet. Some people's won't. Some people can eat all the salt in the world and their blood pressure is perfectly fine. Other people will blow it up like a beluga if they have too much soy sauce. So it's important to kind of take a peek at what happened to you, because this is what matters. If you feel great, that matters. If you feel horrible, that really matters. So let's take a peek at the next slide. All right, good stuff. What did you like? What do you want to continue? Because you don't have to keep the whole challenge that you did. So using as an example, the 21-day challenge, 21-day ramp up that we did with Strength Matters, which of these really did you like? Did you really like the awareness piece? We did a week on increasing your nutrient intake. So some people were trying to eat a cruciferous vegetable, meaning something from the cabbage family, a bright orange vegetable like a carrot or pumpkin each day, and the other one was a dark green vegetable. So some people may have gotten to the end of the challenge and been like, I really loved that challenge of trying to get those 3 types of vegetables in every day. I totally want to keep doing that. But that doesn't mean that they have to keep the other things that they tried out during the challenge. Maybe they tried, drinking more water, which was one of our options for the habits to try. Maybe they found that they just have to get up too many times during the night if they drink too much water. So you don't have to keep all of them. But specific things, you can really pick and choose like a buffet line, which of the behaviors that you did more or less of that you want to keep going. And putting them in writing really, really helps. All right, let's check out number 4. Number 4. This is super, super, super important. I cannot emphasize enough how much it's important to tailor behaviors to be sustainable. Doing something for 21 or 30 days is a lot different than doing it forever. If we keep the intensity too high, like if you were really putting 90% of your daily willpower into eating those 3 different vegetables a day, this is not going to last for very long. You're sprinting, and we need to take it down to a pace that you can sustain for a marathon. So often it really means dialing back. People may find like, okay, 0 alcohol is just not sustainable. But I did recognize that the outcomes were really positive. So maybe I want to keep it lower than it was before the challenge. So tailoring things to, really be a good fit. Josh and I and Roland call it Goldilocksing. And you always want to Goldilocks your habits. So it's not too big, not too small. It's just right. So it feels good. What do you think of that, Seb? Oh, Goldilocksing habits.
I think it's great. You're right. How can you? Well, it's kind of like the bodybuilder thing. They go on an extremely strict diet. You can't sustain that. We look at sports magazines and fitness magazines, and you see the cover model on there who is incredible shape, male and female. But there's no guarantee. That is not how they live their entire year around. And that's what we need to remember and tell our clients and students is they prep for weeks on end for that, dehydrated on the day of the photo shoot. It's not something that can last. So you got to adjust the intensity on it, as you're saying. Yeah, you just got to find the right bit. Too much, too little, just perfect.
Yeah. Unsustainable looks come from unsustainable behaviors. So if you want to, keep doing this, kind of have to dial things in. It's also worth mentioning that just like tailoring, a pair of pants, you might have to retailor them in the future. It's not like one and done. Shit happens. You might be more active for 6 months and then break your leg and be, in healing mode for 6 weeks. And you have to adjust your behaviors. Maybe you need to dial back the amount of sweets you're eating if your activity level comes down. Or you also want to think about this not just in the scope of eating and fitness and other healthy behaviors in isolation, because they fit into our complete lives. They fit into our social schema. If your spouse is going through a really hard time, that affects you, and that affects your, the amount of willpower and effort that you have to put into stuff like, am I eating 3 different colors of vegetables a day? So what's sustainable during a low stress time may not be sustainable when work piles up, for example. So there's nothing wrong with retailoring down the road. It's just a matter of like today, let's see what is sustainable given the next 2 to 4 weeks. What do you want to try and keep? We can always revisit it. All right, let's check out the next one. This is the best. Pitch the stuff that didn't fit you. Not every bit is going to. Oh, I put the slide up that I had the typo in. See how it says not a great fight for each person. I did actually adjust it, but I guess I sent you the wrong slides. Sorry.
Trust me, I wouldn't have even noticed.
Okay. Well, of course I notice it. It's like the one typo on my card. I'll make sure I get the corrected version to anybody that wants to get the download for their clients. Anything that stressed you out, didn't work really well with your lifestyle or your body, just let it go. Sayonara. There are so many awesome changes that we can make that you really don't have to do all of them. For some people, food logging is a wonderful activity and it makes them feel in control and it helps them observe their patterns and make connections. And for other people, it is a one-way street to neuroticism and it just stresses them out. So put that smile on your face, throw it in the trash can. You really don't have to do anything that you don't want to continue doing. So those are like the 5 steps to really taking stock. What happened in this challenge? I talked for half an hour on it, but you can really do this with a client relatively quickly. You can also give them a printed card, which is why I bothered to put the nice icons and stuff on it. Say, take it home, fill this out. Take some time to do this and then bring it back and we'll talk about it at your next session. So even if you need every minute of your session because your job is to get that person a good workout and they're not showing up for a huge amount of time, or they show up late and you're in a hurry, just give this to them and encourage them to do it on their own time. And you can really just tackle it in 5 minutes. Let's go to the next one. All right, so this is where I asked the client to bring it back to you. So turn this card back into me for accountability. What are you gonna try and keep doing? And how long do you wanna do it for before we check in again? I'll usually suggest people put 2 or 4 weeks-ish for that check on me date. And when I do give this to clients and they give it back to me, I just drop a reminder in my calendar. Check on Joe's after the challenge card on March 17th. And so March 17th, when I open my calendar, it's going to be like, check on Joe's card. And so I'll pull up Joe's card, be like, oh yeah, he wanted to try and keep his diet soda intake to 1 a week. Let me ask him how that's going. And Joe walks in the door. Hey, Joe, I got your accountability card here. Got 2 minutes. Let's see if it's going well. And that's your opportunity to say, oh, you mean you stopped doing it after a week? Oh, maybe it was a bit too much to bite off at one time. Let's readjust. You think 2 a week is more doable, or oh, you're having 16 a week? Maybe we want to shoot for half a dozen. Something more moderate. And you can also remind them of it's a bit of a time capsule in that they can see what they wrote on the card, and it really jogs memories for, oh, I was feeling really good when I was doing that, or man, I really hated doing that. And oftentimes we forget. I'm totally guilty of it. If somebody asks me, how did you feel 2 weeks ago with how you were eating? I am not going to remember. So it's really nice to get that card and be like, oh yeah, I was feeling really good after that. Maybe it's worth returning to it. So at the very bottom of the card, you have the client write in the check on me date, and then you come through by providing that accountability to them. So I think the next slide has all of this stitched together into one graphic. Booyah! So,
Bosh.
What'd you say?
I said, bosh.
Bosh. So this is exactly what it looks like. I have it as a JPEG and a PDF file. So what I'm going to do so that you guys can just swipe this and use it with your clients, it's not stealing if I give it to you, is I guess we can put a link in the hub so that people can download it. And then you can throw it on black and white paper. If you don't have colored ink, whatever you got to do. You can even email it to clients, though I don't know if they'll be able to type on it if it's a PDF. Somebody who's a tech wizard will be able to help me with that. I just know the nutrition part. And so you can actually use this with your clients. I think that's all the stuff that I put together, but we've got plenty of time. So if anybody's got questions or you think you actually want to try this out, I would love to hear from you. So I guess people can type in the chat, right, Seb?
Yes, guys. If you do have any questions, of course, until you do post some questions, I am going to bibble babble as always. And of course, compared to our other webinars, fairly short and sharp, but the information precise and excellent. The one thing I really do like on this card is on the bottom, the check on me date. I think that's wonderful, is the fact that you got a little reminder for yourself, because I often lose my mind and I say to somebody, yeah, I'll get in touch with you next week, and it might slip my mind a little bit.
Yeah, so if I don't have stuff
great.
in writing, I am just really, really poor at that.
Yeah, definitely, me too. So, until we get some questions through then, Georgie, what should people be looking out for? What are you doing at the moment where people can maybe see, hear, read more about you?
Excellent. Oh, I always have like 15 things going on that I never know where to start first. So I'm always on askgeorgie.com throwing stuff at the internet over there. I posted something yesterday with a graphic for a technique called taking halftime. So it's 4 steps to succeeding at not overeating at a restaurant. So that's a cool post over at askgeorgie.com. What else is going on? Just getting ready for the San Diego summit, where we're going to have lots of other, just ready to take home in a goodie bag and use right away goodies, like an assessment and, prefab habits that you can, discuss with your clients and find a good fit for them. And we're going to talk about how we tailor stuff to be a great fit for every client. What else do we have going on? The complete coaching mentorship is rocking and rolling. I'm having so much fun with that. So we have a group of people that signed up with us to, do our mentorship. And so each week we do a webinar like this, and we talk about a different coaching skill in particular. And then we help them turn it around. So this week they are working on blogging with authority, because it's such a challenge, right? To throw something on the blog, and none of us sound like an egomaniac, but at the same time we want to be confident that we know what we're talking about.
And there's different styles of it as well, and I know I get quite a few different weekly blogs from individuals who I've signed up to, and I know for a fact who has been the influence on their blog just by the writing style. I'm not saying I know everybody's writing style, but there's one individual who is a marketer who I know of, and when emails come through with specific words or kind of titles, I'm like, yep, that's from so-and-so. Blogging is a tough thing, but as you guys know, on our past webinars, we have spoken about blogging. Chet Majaria did a great one about how you can use your writing skills, and we got one coming up with Tim from 97 Displays, again, about how to get your blog noticed quite a lot. Anyway, we got a question from Kerry. You mentioned not bringing up the challenge during the time of the challenge. If you don't bring it up, how can you help the client redirect before they fail?
That's an excellent question, Carrie. It kind of depends on whether the challenge is part of your wheelhouse or not. So when we were doing the 21-day ramp up, all of the complete coaching mentors, Josh, Roland, and myself, were in the group, helping people, how's it going, engaging them, asking them how it's what went well, what are you learning, to kind of keep them engaged in the process. When it's not part of my wheelhouse, for example, if I were working at a gym and somebody just kind of pops in the door or bounces over and tells me they're doing a vegan challenge, I might not want to ask how it's doing, because it's not part of what I am associated with. So I guess it kind of depends on what they're doing. If they're doing a Beachbody 21-day fix that I kind of know most people are just going to crash and burn on, I really don't want to encourage it. But if they're doing something like that I really feel ethically that I am behind and I support this person. A lot of my clients are trying to decrease or stop drinking. And that is something that I absolutely support them on. I feel wholeheartedly that it helps their wellness. And I will ask them, how's it going, out of personal interest, just as much as professional support, because it's part of their nutrition plan. So I guess it really depends what the client's doing. If I feel ethically sound in supporting it, or if I'm involved with it, if they're doing it as something that I'm coaching, you bet I am going to be connecting with them regularly to hold them accountable and support them. I hope that answered your question, but yeah, go ahead and type away in that chat box if you have a follow-up question.
Yes, definitely, guys. Of course, any questions, and of course, if you don't have a question, though, please do let us know if some of the information here is something you can use, if it's applicable to you, to your students, clients. If you felt it was worth being here, of course, as well as always, lovely just to show some appreciation for time that Georgie has spent, not only just speaking to us right now, but preparing all these slides as well, and dealing with me right into her, say, give me the slides, oh, I got a problem. No, the problem's okay. As again, Mr. Lack of IT skills suffer with. So
it takes a village, I mean, I need Roland to help me with all sorts of tech stuff, because I would be absolutely useless. I just kind of think, just set up the audience and I'll talk. But yeah, as far as setting up webinars and technological stuff, I'm really grateful for the help that I have.
We all need a Roland in life.
I think. Oh, so I can see what Carrie responded. I think I would jump on it if I didn't agree with what they were doing, and that's a good heart you have, Carrie. And I feel ya. I feel ya. When somebody's forgive the beeping, it's my coffee maker in the background. Probably butting into their business. I definitely can understand when we see a client and they appear to be driving into a brick wall. It's really, really hard to not say, hey, don't drive into that brick wall. But one of the interesting things about human psychology is the more we tell someone not to do something, the more they want to do it. And the more we tell someone in a authoritative way to not do something, or you should not, you must not, you can't, it's only natural for the other side of that person's mind to be like, watch me, yes, I can. So I find the wording that I put on there, I'm concerned that blank is like, stick that in your pocket, because it's not about telling them what to do as much as expressing your concern. If I say my concerns, that leaves it open to the person to choose to hear it and act anyway, or hear it and double think or rethink their actions and decide that, maybe she's a professional for a reason, and maybe she's got some insight here. And if the client comes to their own conclusion of, maybe her concern is warranted, they're going to be a lot more likely to act in accordance with your warning than if you tell them you can't do that. So I hope that it helps you out, Carrie. I definitely have, they call that the writing reflex. There's actually a name for it in motivational interviewing, which is, don't do that. let me help you. You're falling off the balance beam. Let me just tip you right back up. We want to write our clients. We want to push them back on the path. And it took me a lot of years to learn, it's actually better to voice our concern and let the client keep trying to walk. So you're in a good place. I hope this gave you some insight to try and just adjust your language. But I could tell you have such a good heart to want to stop people from doing bad things. Let me read some of the other things people wrote.
Yeah, we got a couple of thank you from Christine, from Aaron. Thank you, guys. John, this is fantastic. Usable information. You've just finished a 6-week challenge, and people are actually asking you, what's next? Well, here you go, pal. Yeah. This is your next step. Chris, we could definitely use the infograph, as I would typically frown on this short-term challenge, and this provides a more suitable tool to deal with my clients. Thank you so much. Well, thank you very much for being here, Chris. And we've got Christine. I think this is a question, actually. When someone comes to you and asks you for suggestions on a bracket fix, what do you suggest or not suggest? For certain people, starting with a bracket fix would be a really positive first step.
Yeah, I can see what you're talking about, Christine. It's totally natural for people to have that like new you enthusiasm. Like, I really want to dive into something. Um, and so, and it is motivating. You know, research, there's a great study that came out last year that when people lose weight rapidly at the beginning of the program, it really does have a positive impact on their motivation. So there's something to be said for helping people get quick results. But at the same time, everything that we do, we want to make sure that we're not harming people. So we don't want to set people up to sprint and then fail. So it's definitely an art to helping people harness that enthusiasm and direct it to sustainable changes. So I can do something with the kind of fix that we designed for the 21-day ramp up for Christine and the other trainers. Maybe we'll do that as the next webinar, Seb, because we have it we could tie it up into a plug and play short-term thing that people can do. And what we did was we used positive input. So people can just enthusiastically go for broke on putting as much positive stuff into their diet as they want, because they tend to not burn out or harm themselves or backswing as much as they do when they go for broke in terms of cutting stuff out of their diet. So we set up our fix to have a week of increasing awareness, to have a week of increasing nutrients, and then to have a week of increasing enjoyment. And so it gives people a nice structure. 21 days is a nice short time frame that people feel like they can really wrap their brains around. And so we'll find a way to share that with everybody in case people want a good one. Other than that, I don't have any real suggestions for a quote fix. I usually just try and get people started on one habit that is going to feel really good and have them keep doing that. And we don't try and fix everything, right from the get-go. So we pick one meaningful thing with my clients. Some of the common first things we work on are only eating when they're hungry. Josh has definitely rubbed off on me, where I do like the awareness piece of just trying to get people to write down everything they eat at the beginning can be a really positive step for some people. So it's I kind of tailor it for the client. So I hope that helped you out.
Mega, I think there's a load of great information. Mega. I think you guys once again have been spoilt by the amount of information that our wonderful guest this week, Georgie, of course, of every other guest, has thrown at us as well. Remember, guys, this will be uploaded. Give me a week. I will upload this onto the members site. But of course, as Georgie did mention, hopefully she will put up the link for this little printout. You guys can have it. If she doesn't, I will remind her in a couple of days' time. So unless there are any final questions, quickly flood in. Just give me a yes. If you do have a question, then take your time, type in. Oh, Christine, really great. Thanks. Let me know if you do share the information on another webinar. Don't you worry, Christine. If you're in the group, you will know about it. And of course, we do send emails out as well, just reminding people regarding our webinars. On that note then, guys, don't forget you can check out more information on Georgie at askgeorgie.com. Where would people go if they want to find out more about Complete Coaching Mentors?
CompleteCoachingMentors.com.
Simple as that, Jack.
I really like getting URLs where you don't have and then there's a backslash and an underline underscore. I'm like, oh shit, man. Yeah, so that's CompleteCoachingMentors.com. And at AskGeorgie.com, there's all sorts of info like, oh, I want your book. So there's a link for my book. There's a link for the coaching. There's a link for my clients if people want to be coached. And then there's mentoring for professionals who want to do that. And then there's just tons of free goodies because I love giving stuff away. So yeah, and I love to hear from people. I wouldn't have a website called Ask Georgie if I didn't want you to write in and ask me stuff. So feel free. And of course, I've got the Ask Georgie column in Strength Matters magazine, for which I'm always hungry for topics. So
okay. Well, in that case then, guys, if you do have any topical questions, something that could be written out and expanded, do drop Georgie a line. Give her something to dig her teeth into, so then she can, of course, provide for us within the Strength Matters magazine. Spencer, thank you for spending time with us. I very massively appreciate that you and, of course, all our other members and listeners and viewers could be here as well.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for showing up on a Wednesday, middle of the week. I'm sure you have lots of other things you could be doing with this chunk of your time. So yeah, power to you. Fist bump.
Fist bump. And explode. I do that with all the kids in the hospital I was telling you about, where I go every Wednesday. We do a fist bump, but then you have to explode afterwards as well. So it's like,
you bet. We can give them an instructional at the Strength Matters Summit on the exploding fist bump.
Mega gonna do that. On that note there, guys, thank you very much. Really do hope to see you soon. And remember, do get in touch with us. Do let us know on the Strength Matters Hub group on Facebook if you did enjoy the webinar. Of course, I'll be posting up there just to offer my thanks to Georgie and everyone there. But guys, do please post. Let us know what you thought of it. It's always great to get your feedback. On that note, from Georgie and from myself, take care, guys. Be safe and goodbye.